Blood isn't thicker than water. Especially when it comes to thieves in your own family. When my cousin Pedro and I were teenagers, he used to come to my place to play video games. I showed him my collection, and he was particularly taken with The Witcher and Warhammer. When he returned home, I wanted to play a few rounds and found that the games had disappeared. Obviously, I immediately assumed that he had taken them because there had been no one else in the house but us, and they had been there earlier. I was obsessed with these games. I called his mother, and she spoke to him, but he was adamant that he didn't have them and that I must have misplaced them. I told my mom about this, and she immediately called my uncle. He also spoke to my cousin but continued claiming that he had nothing to do with it. Even I was second-guessing if he stole those games or not. It didn't ruin our relationship because Pedro was very understanding. In the following years, I helped him to move again and again. I'm sure I would have noticed if the games had been in his stuff. On the other hand, he had already received a few sentences for stealing from other people. That made me pretty sure that he stole them, but of course, I couldn't prove it after all this time. When I finally moved out of my parents' house, I didn't ask him to help me. I never invited him to my apartment and didn't tell him where I lived. I also asked my parents not to tell him where I lived, nor his parents either. When his father got confused about it at some point, I told him that I didn't want a thief in my apartment. Neither does anyone who supports and covers thieves. Pedro tried to excuse himself by saying that his parents said he was an a-hole and that it had been years. My parents just frowned, and I had confirmation that Pedro had indeed stolen my games, and they knew it. They must have realized at some point what they had just done. I said goodbye to my parents, and left the house. I haven't seen Pedro and his parents since then. Except for the one time, I saw his face on a wanted poster. He must have stolen a car and jewelry. I called the police, of course, and they finally found him in his parents' basement, hiding in the back room. With the reward, I bought back the games he stole.